we had a group of deaf women come in. Afterwards, they had told me, they were like, we've gone to a ton of cycling studios and no one's like accommodated us ever. They just kind of judged us and like kind of ignored us because they didn't know what to do, and they like got scared of us.
They didn't have their own class. They just joined.
Yeah, they were hearing people and there were deaf people.
Cool. People underestimate like community.
Immediately I had like a heartbreak. Like I was like, I'm missing a community. And for me, I've always had fitness as that community.
It can make or break a town for you.
Yes.
Right?
Third Space is a place where you leave your home and you go somewhere where someone knows your name and you can spend time like in community getting to know one another.
Cycling studio can also be a calming space, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be just in your face all the time, bright flashing lights in your face. Yeah.
So I started to break it down, like what was it? And part of it was like the class itself and the music choices. And then the other part was this.
Today's guest, we're excited to welcome Alison Brien, co-founder and instructor at Ritual Indoor Cycling in Lakewood, Colorado. Alison, alongside actress and seasoned cycling instructor Bevin Prince, founded Ritual to transform the indoor cycling experience into a mindful and intentional practice. Does that sound right?
That's right.
Cool.
That's us.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in Colorado? Because you're not from here.
Right. I'm from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Grew up there, left there for a software job in Wisconsin. I've moved all over for jobs.
Okay.
I've been in software for 15 years.
Okay.
And so ended up in, skipping a few spots, ended up in North Carolina, coastal North Carolina, which is where I met Bevin.
I like coastal North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I like it.
The beaches
I feel like it's underrated, I guess.
Yeah.
What I would say.
And the people are so nice.
Yeah.
I was in coastal South Carolina, ended up in coastal North Carolina.
Okay.
And when in South Carolina, I had discovered, I'd been working in software this whole time, and I had discovered indoor cycling.
Yeah.
Like,
how did you discover it?
Through heartbreak. I was like, I need to go work out somewhere. I'm heartbroken. Like, bad breakup.
Okay.
Found myself in a dark room with loud music and was like, this is going to heal me. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's like dudes at the gym just lifting weights, right? Just like
same thing.
It's for your mental health.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. You found your spot. You found your thing.
Yeah, and movement's always been a huge part of my upbringing. So
let's talk about the breakup.
Oh
no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, wait,
wait,
my husband's gonna listen.
Yeah.
To this.
So what's your like athletic background in then?
Yeah. So growing up, my dad was a professional bodybuilder. My mom was an aerobics instructor.
Okay. So your dad had heartbreak too?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I'm 9 years old and he's like making me bench press in the basement.
Awesome.
No joke. That was a thing. My brothers
cool.
and I just down there, he's teaching us to lift at a young age, probably too young. Like now that there's research.
This is like bad for our backs.
It's like 1996, right? So
sure. Is he like feeding you protein shakes and stuff too?
They were always like, we're all doing Atkins together. And I'm like, I am still growing.
Built now too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of us are very athletic. Okay. And my mom was also a teacher. My dad also was an entrepreneur. So all of this kind of comes together in what is now Ritual. But that's kind of, I ran track and field from a young age, like loved to run.
Cool.
Primarily was a sprinter.
Okay.
So I loved
200?
Yeah, 100, 200. Because I was like, I can still score the same amount of points and run for 12 seconds. That sounds great. I'm going to get good at that.
I mean, the 400 is the worst.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe the 800 is the worst.
Did you run though? Did you run?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I had to run. I played basketball.
Oh,
but we would go out on the track during off season and run. And I just remember like 400s and 800s are the worst.
Yeah, they
100
are.
and 200, I could do that all day.
Same.
Yeah.
I was like, put me in, coach. And then they'd always make you run the 400 because like, you're really good at the 200. You might as well double. And I'm like,
you might as well double it up. You're
yeah.
like, no, diminishing returns.
Yeah, that's not the math.
My body stops at 200. I physically can't run further.
And so that was kind of like my childhood. I grew up with very fit parents, very much like entrepreneurial. My mom, group fitness, exercise, all that. Mm-hmm. So that was really inspiring. Cool. And that was kind of like movement for me was so important. Like that was just a core value of our family, which is really cool. Same with being outdoors. Okay. And then
in Rochester, New York, outdoors.
Yeah, I know. It's
Go
actually
camping in the summer.
Yeah, there's actually a lot like around there. Like I grew up in the Finger Lakes, so it's kind of mountainous, kind of like wineries.
Yeah.
Lakes, that kind of thing. So it's like more than what people think.
It's
nice. Not. No. And so, yeah, then I ended up traveling around for different jobs in software because I graduated college from RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, during the recession. And so at that point, I didn't want to get into software, but I was like, what's a job that will pay me money?
Sure.
And took it. And the rest was kind of history and just kind of took it every
What did
job.
you do in software? Were you in sales or customer service? Or?
In project management. So I've always been kind of like project or product management.
Okay.
So all that means is I like to like herd cats and get stuff done.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I landed at a startup in North Carolina, which is where I met Bevin. And I actually had gotten my start in cycling at a different studio that was homegrown. And they hired me as an instructor during COVID.
Oh, wow.
And so we were out in a parking lot teaching cycling.
Okay.
And that's how I started, which is wild. Or we would be inside with masks and teaching with a mask on.
Oh, that's not fun.
Yeah. So I did that, in my free time.
Okay.
Sorry, actually, prior to that, I taught bar. I don't know if you've heard of bar.
Yeah. BARRE.
Yeah, because I also danced as a kid. So like anything that's like rhythm based, I was just really into.
Cool.
Because I was also a drummer. My mom is a professional musician, so that kind of like brings this all. You can see where my parents kind of like meld into me.
Yeah.
I'm like a perfect 50-50 mix.
That's fun.
So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
we were just talking about Carolina. I was asking how you sort of got into indoor cycling.
Yeah. Oh, heartbreak.
Yeah.
That's how I found it in Charleston when I lived in Charleston. And I was like, this is so cool. Like as a drummer, I can find the beat pretty easily.
Okay.
And then the music, like this huge passion for music growing up.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second, I get to like work out to cool music and move my body to the rhythm. And that's when I was like, this is cool. And I just fell in love and was like, take all my money. I'll come here every day.
So you were going pretty much every day?
Yeah.
So you really were in love. So then in love. You're like the perfect person to turn into an instructor then.
Yeah. And I was like secretly like, pick me, like in the front row. But they did eventually pick me. Sure. But I was moving on to my next job and leaving South Carolina. Okay. So the timing didn't work out for that.
Yeah.
But then I did end up in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
And
when you go to a new place, do you go try all?
Yeah.
You just got, all right, I got to try all the different indoor cycling spots, find my spot.
Exactly.
And how do you know when it's your spot?
Well, in Wilmington, there was only one spot.
Okay. It's
a very small city.
All right. Then you found your spot.
Yeah. And
I mean, sometimes I'm a small town guy. Okay. And my wife like loves big cities, and I like small towns because you just have limited options. You're like, all right, we got like 5 restaurants. Which one do you want to go to? Like, that's it.
Yeah,
we don't have to like stress. And when you go to a big city, it's like overwhelming.
I know. Even here,
so it's kind of nice having your choices. Like, hey, you got to make this studio work,
right?
Or start your own.
Exactly. So it worked out great. Like I landed in this cycling studio, the nicest owners, former BMX pro coach owned it with his wife.
Nice.
And they're like, they saw me and they were like, please work here.
Cool.
So they trained me up. And then Bevin was working at SoulCycle as a master trainer instructor. So she trained everybody at SoulCycle. So they all go through her program. And then she, during COVID, moved home to North Carolina and was like, I can just start my own thing. There's only one studio in this town.
Yeah.
I should be the second one here. Let's go. And so she stood up a tent in a parking lot and bought 20 bikes and put 2 speakers outside. And she taught like 14 classes a week in the beginning.
Holy cow.
And I showed up there on New Year's Day and just was like, this is different than anything else.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And she was bringing her experience from her journey.
Yeah.
And then you got to bring your experience from your journey and sort of combine the two.
And so it was just her for a while. And then she saw me and she emailed me and it's like so Bevin, I didn't watch One Tree Hill. So I don't really know her as like a famous person.
Same. Yeah.
I just know her as my friend Bevin.
Yeah.
That I met in a mall parking lot on a bicycle. But she like, after the class emailed me and I knew she was like big at SoulCycle and like obviously I took her class and was like, this is next level instructing.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's so good. I was like, I will drink whatever Kool-Aid she's giving out.
Yeah.
And then she emails me and she's like, hey, would you like to work at Recess, is the studio that she started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's like catching a ball in an MLB game and them being like, do you want to come play? You know, like I was like, you want me to audition?
Yeah,
and she was like, no, I don't want you to audition. I just want you to work here. And I was just shook.
Dang.
So I was like,
she saw something in you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for a while, you know, I went through her training.
She also had limited choices though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No
because,
offense.
Yeah, that's true. There's such a small population. She's probably like, this girl can keep a rhythm.
Yeah.
She looks okay on a bike. Like she's athletic. Check. Okay.
She checks all. I can work with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is true. And she, brought me through her training program.
Cool.
And then there was just a few of us in the mall parking lot for well over a year. So we just taught. I got 3 noise violations.
Perfect.
I was the only one with a noise violation.
Okay.
The police always showed up.
Is it the music? Is it you yelling? Both?
The music was too loud.
Okay.
I'm definitely like a rock person.
Yeah.
And
I've
the
seen
neighbors didn't like that. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I got my start with Bevin, and that's how we formed. It was just, you know, she and I for a long time, and I got to witness what she built in Wilmington. Yeah. And it was just so community, like the people that showed up to the parking lot, I'm like, there's no bathroom. Like these people
you
love
have to be
it.
pretty dedicated, right?
Yeah.
To go cycling
in a mall parking lot. Yeah, it was so cool. And like,
that was like year round. So you guys are out there in the cold and the heat, whatever.
And my hat and my gloves. Okay. Pouring rain, and it was kind of sketchy because there's cords. You know, you have equipment. Yeah. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And I'd be like looking at the water pooling around the cords, and I'm like,
how much water can how much water can those cords handle?
Yeah,
this speaker,
big equipment,
right?
Yeah, and we would haul the bikes out. We would haul the speakers out. We'd set it all up.
Where'd you store the bikes?
She had 2 pods. You know those pods
that would just stay in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she painted them like rainbow colored, so it was like cute.
Did she have to like rent that space in the parking lot?
Yeah, I don't know what it cost. I think it was not much. It was an old Longhorn Steakhouse that closed from COVID.
Okay.
And she was like, perfect.
Okay.
And her husband at the time was in commercial real estate, so I'm sure they were like, we can figure this out together.
She just needed to get some momentum.
Exactly.
Get some people on board, build a community.
Brilliant, really, with no overhead. Like, what a time.
And it was so different that people were probably drawn to that.
Oh, yeah. And Bevin, in Wilmington, One Tree Hill was filmed there. So it has a huge following. So it worked out great for her. They were like, we know Bevin. Of course we're going to come support her. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the only reason why they came.
It certainly didn't.
But a lot of people knew her. Yeah. And then there were like, there's One Tree Hill conventions.
She's kind of a hometown hero, so.
Yeah. A bunch of One Tree Hill people come in and they all want pictures after and autographs.
Cool.
But as an instructor, it's tough because for a while it was like, would you want to ride with Alison or would you want to ride with Bevin Prince?
Sure.
So I was like, who's going to come to my class? Like some Joe on the street.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was very intimidating to be like, sure, I'll be your other instructor.
You're like the opening act. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like for a comedian.
That's so true. Yeah. But I was like honored. I was like, sure, wherever you go, I'm going, you know, so she's such an amazing person.
I'm sure there were people who wanted a different experience. They, had Bevin for 100 classes in a row. And they're like, like maybe something different. You know?
And it really speaks to the community in Wilmington. Like there's such
when you have a community like that, you can go to them and also be like, hey, would you mind going to this other class? This one's getting cool.
There was a while where there's like one person signed up in my class and like, the 2 women that worked the front desk, they'd be like texting friends and be like, can anybody ride with Alison for free? But that's, how you build it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause they just have to try somebody.
Shame.
It's great.
That's awesome. So then tell me about the process of Ritual.
Yeah.
It was born essentially out of Recess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the
how did
connection
that
with
conversation
Bevin.
start?
Great question. So the conversation started.
Who brought it up first?
I did. I've never felt aligned to my work in software.
Okay.
Like I said, I started in software out of a need to make money. And it never was really what I wanted. I always had like an entrepreneurial spirit, more of like a marketing. I had a really strong focus, and my MBA was focused on marketing. Mm-hmm. And wanting to do more creative outlet work, which is why I always ended up in fitness because it is a form of creativity. Yeah. And I was like, my husband, Patrick, and I would sit and we moved to Colorado because of his job. Sorry, I didn't touch on that. And I work fully remote in software, so they didn't care where I lived.
Yeah.
And so we moved out here for his job, and immediately I had like a heartbreak. Like I was like, I'm missing a community.
Mhm.
And for me, I've always had fitness as that community.
Yeah.
And I went to other studios, didn't really feel,
That's probably hard.
yeah, like they don't
Yeah.
really know your name. Like I just came from this really grassroots community where it's like, we know each other well. We sit there and, like it's
Yep.
so grassroots.
People underestimate like community. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you're in a place, like it can make or break a town for you,
Yes.
right? And if you don't have especially coming from something so amazing and stepping into nothing, and
Right.
you're just like the void, you lose all of that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And it's cool. Like I saw it here. Like other people would come to the same places and they knew their name and all that stuff. So
Sure.
if I gave it more time too, I'm sure they would have learned my name and
Yeah.
I could embed. But I was like, I saw what Recess did and it was so deeply intentional, the way that they interacted with humans. And I was like, what if we brought that to the west side of Denver? Because where we're living is almost Morrison.
Okay.
And I noticed there's a lot of people after COVID that moved west, like
Yep.
out of the city. And I was like, there's a lot of young people,
Mhm.
young families. And I was thinking, why is there nothing premium on this side of town?
Okay.
I shouldn't say nothing. Indoor cycling on this side of town. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's
yeah,
other
yeah.
things that are amazing.
The unique thing that you experienced didn't exist where you live, is what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a real opportunity in Lakewood.
Okay.
Because Lakewood seems to be growing. And
Yeah.
so I was like, what if we took Recess and put it in Lakewood? And my husband's like, okay, go on, like in a parking lot? No. Actually, at this time, Recess has now moved inside. So
Sure.
they have a studio. And so I was like, yeah, like what if we reached out to Bevin and we were like, hey, maybe we bring a second iteration of this to Denver.
Yeah.
And then I started to really think about Recess and the branding, and I'm more like a sad girl study hall. So I was like, I don't know that I resonate necessarily. Like if I were to run a Recess, if
Yeah.
it would align with who I am, like I'm very
Okay.
bonded to like the desert
I
and
did
the
see
feelings.
their website with the rainbow colors
Yeah.
and bright. It was really cool branding, but it's
I
like,
love it. Yeah.
it's really fun and bubbly,
Exactly.
sort of quirky. Yeah.
And that's Bevin. Like
Sure,
she
sure.
is the ultimate fun cheerleader. Like she is the best human being. Like
Sure.
positive always. And then I started to think, but who's Alison? Like if I had to birth something, would it be
I
the
think that
same
was
thing?
really smart and
Yeah.
really good to go. I don't want to just copy what she did. I want to take what she did and make it my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really smart, because most people I feel like would just copy paste,
Yeah.
right? But if it doesn't align with who you are and your personality, then there's going to be this like internal struggle the
Right.
whole time.
Right.
And you would probably be the only, Patrick would hear a lot about it, I'm sure.
True. Patrick. Poor Patrick.
He's the best. He's so nice.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's so important that your business and your brand really need to align with if you're going to be heavily involved and you're going to be the face of it, it really needs to align with your personality.
Right.
Because if it doesn't, then it's never going to feel like home. You know what I mean? It's never
Yes.
going to feel like it's yours.
Exactly.
It's usually you're just airdropping it and running someone else's business or something.
Yeah. And we've already seen that, like with franchise. Like we already
Yes.
have a lot of that.
Yeah.
And Recess, because of their branding, is very coastal feeling. Like it feels like the coast. And
Yeah.
then I was like, well, what does Colorado feel like? To me,
Mhm.
like I had been traveling all over the Four Corners area, and my favorite places are Sedona and Santa Fe.
Okay.
And I was like, how do I bring this desert feeling,
Mhm.
like more of a localized feeling, more of a localized brand
Yeah.
versus the bright, cheery colors? That's more coastal feeling.
Okay.
Plus, if you look at fitness and other indoor cycling studios in Denver, we already have the primary colors. Like everything's purple and green and bright and cute.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I bring more dimension into fitness? Like neutral colors and earthiness and like groundedness. It doesn't need to be like red and glaring, you
Sure.
know? So that was the start of Ritual.
The idea of like a cycling studio can also be a calming space, right? It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be just doom, doom, doom,
Right.
doom, doom, doom in your face all the time, bright flashing
Yeah.
lights in your face. Yeah.
And that
That's
was the
good.
other piece that kind of birthed Ritual, where I was like, I had been going around from other studios and I had felt really like my nervous system impacted.
Yeah.
when I left a
Like, why am I leaving
class.
here with higher cortisol levels?
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to after you work out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but after going to some of those, you're like, I am amped in not a good way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started to break it down, like, what was it? And part of it was like the class itself and the music choices and the movement choices.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part was the space. So I was
Color,
like,
space, the color,
yeah,
the vibe. Yeah.
yeah, the feeling. Like I wanted it to feel like you walked into someone's home.
Yeah.
Like our front desk is lower on purpose. It's a counter height.
Your space feels like a Santa Fe yoga studio or something.
Yeah, that's the best compliment.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a cycle studio.
Yeah, because they're kind of intimidating. And I was
Sure.
like, why are these spaces so intimidating when they're saying they're, not?
This is a good time. I have a question that I wanted to ask.
Oh, yeah.
You said, it says, I think on your website, intentional movement with an abundant mindset. What does that mean to you, and how do you implement that in your class?
Yeah. So intentional movement, meaning like we're not going to just do anything for anything's sake.
Sure.
So like it has to have a why. When we train our instructors, they'll literally say anything and I'll stop them and say why. Or they'll touch the resistance knob. I'm like, why are you touching that? So if you do anything, you have to say why to our class. Like if I ever touch the resistance knob, if I take it off or I put something on, I always say why to them because they're watching me. And then similarly, like if we drop our elbows or we do a cute dance, we say why we're doing that. Like why?
Even if it's just like, hey, I want to lighten the mood in here.
Exactly. For fun, let's sway to the right.
Yeah.
So I said for fun. Like every word we say is so intentional and they're taught even what words to use and not use. So like there's certain things we do that bring it more personal.
What's words you don't want to, like you want to stay away from?
Those and that. So next fitness class you take, I don't know do you do any group fitness?
No.
Oh.
I play basketball and pickleball and then lift weights every now and then.
Okay. Well, and a lot of group fitness instructors will say like, move those legs. And so you're separating your legs from your body. Like it's like an outer piece of you versus move your legs. It's very personal. Like those are yours.
It's also you do this, and separating the instructor separating himself.
Yeah,
from the
that's
group,
true.
So,
and it like disassociates you from your body. We have a lot of that in our culture where it's like those legs, those arms, they're not mine. But it's like, no, those are yours. Like that's your arm.
Okay.
So it's like even that, like our instructors are taught like the smallest things. And it's not something if you went, you'd be like, they never said those.
Right.
But you would leave being like, why did that feel a little different than the other place? Like there was something, but I don't know really what it was. Because it's an amalgam of lots of things that we've taught them. Mm-hmm. And the abundant mindset is really like, it speaks a lot to our core values. So assuming positive intent, like if someone's not doing something, or we're not going to be like,
come on.
Assume that person is doing what they need on this day. Like they're not just powering through to power through. We have so much of that already in our culture.
Sure.
And then it also speaks to our internal working. So like we pay our instructors to train, and most fitness studios, they actually ask instructors to pay them. It's a revenue stream. Oh. It's unheard of to pay people to train for you.
Oh, that seems crazy.
Yeah. It feels weird to me to be like, actually, you
had asked me that before you said that, I definitely would have assumed that they get paid to train.
No, most studios use it as a revenue. I know, and I don't mean to come on here and out everybody,
but
and I'm sure it's not everybody, but the industry standard is that as an instructor you pay. But I don't feel good doing that because if you left my studio to work somewhere else, it's not a certificate. Like yoga, for example, you can take your yoga certification anywhere, and so that is an investment in your career.
Sure.
But for cycling, there really isn't that same thing. There's no standard cycling training.
Okay.
And so if you're going to charge instructors, they can't take it anywhere else. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not fair. So we pay them. And so it's just like, we also pay our instructors 30% more than any other studio. So it's because I just know how much work they've put in and how much work it is to memorize a 45-minute playlist. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like, that's our abundant mindset.
No, I like that. That's
like
great.
If we give abundance, we get abundance in return.
It usually works out that way. It's an investment, right?
You're
you're investing in good and good trainers.
Yeah.
And that will be a return on investment. So
Yeah.
you sort of just hope that as a business owner, you're like, I'm going to invest into my people.
Yeah.
And then in good faith that we're going to see a return on that in the long run, right? You're in it for the long game. We're not trying to make $1 today.
Nope.
It's like, I want to make $1 every day next year, not
Right.
$1 today. So,
and it reflects in your product. Like if our instructors are paid well and they like to show up, like then it's like any brand, right?
Yeah.
Then your product reflects that and your customers feel that. Like, oh, they don't hate working here.
Exactly. And then, I think that probably feeds into the community aspect, which I wanted to ask you about too. So what's the role of community at Ritual and how do you guys try to foster that?
Yeah. So we're just getting started on building a community. So it looks different every day right now, which is really cool. The most important thing for us is that we know your name. Like right now, we're learning everybody's name. And what's really beautiful is that we're so small.
It's easy.
That I know everybody's name.
Sure.
But the other day, somebody was like, how do you remember my name? Like their face lights up. And so our goal as Ritual is to get as many faces to light up as possible. So today we're doing a birthday ride. And so one of our employees is bringing all of their friends in to ride. And like, we're throwing this huge party, streamers, birthday cake, and the whole thing. So it's just like, she gets to bring her friends in for free and we all get to ride and like host her and celebrate her. Cool. And finding those moments to just celebrate our riders.
The world just needs more of that, period.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And like, if you bring a friend, like you can ride for free in your next class. Like that's amazing. Like you've now just multiplied N+1. So it's like, we will give something back for that as well. And just making sure like, another example is like one of our riders had her CPA exam last week and like I happened to hear her in the hallway. So we're constantly listening for like delights.
Okay,
so it's like,
just
oh,
eavesdropping on everyone's conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
They are filming in the hallway. No.
Just that once.
And she was like, and then the next I like made her a playlist and at the end, like we all like cheered her on and we did like a little manifestation for her test to go well. Cool. And like, just like.
I bet that meant a lot to her.
Yeah. And I don't know if it went well, but it was just like finding little ways to hear like, oh, I'm new to Denver. So we have this little like, I'm new to Denver kit that we give the person. Like we're listening all the time. Cool. And like, yeah, just little hospitality.
A lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
Which is not easy. And it doesn't come natural sometimes, but.
Yeah. And then eventually it's like the energy, my hope for our community is that the energy can go circularly. Like it's not just us creating an experience and putting it on a plate and being like, eat it. Yeah. It's more like, they come and they know each other. We are seeing that.
The experience themselves.
Yeah. Like I saw two people who had just met last week. They like saw each other in the class again. They gave each other a hug. And I was like, that's cool. Like now they're friends. I didn't know they became friends.
Yeah.
And so it's
I think, and me and Patrick talked about this when we were shooting for you guys about creating a third space.
Yeah.
And how important that is to you guys too.
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain what a third space is and why you think it's important for our culture and society to have third spaces.
Yeah. A third space is really like, you know, you have your first space, which is your home, your second space, which is your work traditionally.
Yeah.
Obviously today, those two kind of come together in a lot of ways for remote working. And then your third space is a place where you leave your home and you go somewhere where someone knows your name and you can spend time like in community getting to know one another.
Cheers is the classic example, right?
Yeah, a bar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea of like, hey, it's a third space where you're not necessarily with your family.
Yeah.
Or you're not with your coworkers, you're with friends and community. Right?
Exactly.
It can be a church, it can be you know, an organization, a nonprofit, or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it's the pickleball courts.
Oh, nice. Really?
Yeah.
Do you like pickleball?
I like pickleball. I play
It's fun.
like 3 or 4 days a week.
Really?
Maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Yeah.
My mom just broke her wrist playing pickleball. So.
Oh, no.
And they said it's the #1 injury.
A lot of injuries right now.
Yeah.
Pickleball, I would say this. Basketball is my #1 third space. I play a couple times a week. We'll have a group of friends. And that is like when I moved here, started playing morning basketball with these guys, and that has become my friend group. So we play poker together. We have dinner together.
Wow.
So it's like
so
we're
you
all
get it.
Really friends. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like
third spaces are super important.
Yeah.
For our culture and our society, every culture and every society. I feel like you have to have that, and I feel like so many people don't have that and are missing
anymore,
that. And I think
especially.
it brings a lot of like loneliness, you know. I think that's something that we need more of. We need more Alisons creating more rituals, studio cycles.
Yeah, or any to your point.
Not literally, but you know what I'm saying? Like we need
hopefully.
more people creating more studios, more spaces for people to
Yeah,
gather and do things together. Right?
exactly. Because like, as you said, in today's
And you
world,
find your people, like you find people who are interested in the same things, right?
right.
So,
And then, or you find people that you can have interesting discourse with that like come from a different background and you're
Sure.
like, tell me more about that. And I think in today's culture and world and everything we're experiencing, it's jarring. Like we feel so isolated, and COVID didn't help that or any of that. And
No.
just the other day, we had a woman show up 30 minutes early to class. And I was like, oh, you got here so early. And she's like, well, I like to hang out here. And I was like, me too.
Yeah.
And I just sat next to her and we just like hung out till
That's
class
awesome.
started. And I was like, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, this feels like we're just hanging with friends when we come here.
Oh,
And I was like,
that's like the best. I was gonna ask, give me a great story of like
Yeah.
a early ritual success story, but that sounds like the perfect example
Yeah.
of what you're trying to create. I mean, you also want people to, I imagine, get healthier, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
get more fit and feel better about their bodies. And
Yeah.
what do you guys do when you're like new people or you're onboarding them?
Mhm.
Are you putting them through any sort of like physical test or measurements or anything like that with creating goals for them?
No, honestly, we're different in that way.
Okay.
You really don't come to ritual. The primary benefit of ritual is not losing weight or changing who you are.
Okay.
The primary benefit of ritual is coming back to who you are. So it's like we don't have technology involved in the room. It's a feeling. We move to the rhythm of the music and you're like, this is my body. This is how it moves. And you're getting to know your body in space.
Okay.
Because a lot of other fitness spaces will kind of separate the two. They'll be like, just ignore your brain, ignore your body, lose weight, change who you are, change your shape, change your mind. Like,
Okay.
and really it's like, what if I'm okay as I am? And I should honor that and work through it in both it's a physical and emotional experience.
Okay.
So when we create a playlist, we're actually bringing them through both. So it's like an arc in a physical sense. So you bring your heart rate all the way up, then you bring your heart rate back down. But it's also the music you choose does something emotionally. So we have
Do you try to like,
Matt.
do you approve your trainer's playlist and their sets?
No. Once
Okay.
they're through training, they're
on their own.
they're approved
They
to
have to, okay.
move about the cabin. Yeah, like
Ding.
they know the rules at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you trust your training process then.
Yeah, and it's really to move emotion through the body. So it's like emotion is energy in motion, and that's what fitness really is. And so it's like we have to get some of our stagnant stuff out. And we often think of yoga doing that, like, oh, we need to stretch so that we can release trauma. But it's like you can release things in your body by moving through it in a higher intensity too. So that's kind of the goal of rituals, to bring more of a mind-body connection through fitness.
Okay.
But we're not tracking your biometrics or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that. It's like, I think
Yeah.
sometimes we over measure things,
Yeah.
It's like over analyze. It's like not everything has to be super analytical.
No, we're
Sometimes
trying to do
you
the
can
opposite.
just get on the bike and just go.
And feel some
just,
shit.
Yeah, and feel it.
Let's feel.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we've shut down our feelings a lot of times.
Agreed. I don't like feeling my feelings.
You're like, next question.
Yeah, so we'll keep it moving. Can we talk about just the business aspect a little bit? So you guys invested a ton of money into getting it into building out the space. The space looks amazing. If you're in the Lakewood area, I highly recommend you check it out. Even just stop by. You don't have to ride. Just stop by, say hello, check out the space because it's really cool. Tell me about sort of that journey of finding a space and building it out.
Yeah. Really more challenging than I expected, like most things. We knew we wanted to be in Lakewood or west of Denver. And we wanted to be off of a main highway so that it was accessible, because we wanted to access all of Denver if we could. And so when we found our space, we were like, this is perfect, but it's empty. It was what they would call a gray shell, which is like the hardest build out to do because it's just cinder block walls.
Yeah.
Meaning you're going to have to build the walls and the plumbing and build a house basically. And I was like, can we do it? And then we had to like find a contractor and bid on the space without architect plans, because architect plans cost, $25,000. And so if I were to upfront get an architect, then I'm like shopping the plans. It was so much to learn about commercial build out and commercial space. So we had finally found somebody.
And the landlord probably love it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're adding so much value to their building.
Yeah.
Why
And
do you
that
say
was
why do you say it like that? You seem
just like we negotiated for so long
Okay.
because there's this thing called TI, tenant improvement allowance.
Okay.
And they basically didn't want to give us any. And I was like, wait, I'm building an ADA bathroom. I'm like, this is all stuff you can reuse
right.
when I leave. So the negotiation took a long time because I was like really stubborn on that. Because I
Okay.
was like, this is a lot of build out.
Okay.
But then we eventually came to a good place. And so they help. What they do is basically after you build it out, they reimburse you
Okay.
for X amount that you
And
negotiate.
agreed upon a percentage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we did a flat rate.
Flat rate. Okay.
So then, then we went into permitting, which was an actual nightmare, which I knew was going to be a nightmare, but I'd hoped that Lakewood would be a little easier.
Yeah, it probably is a little easier than Denver.
Yeah.
But still.
It took us a long time. There was a lot of miscommunication. So the plumber thought he was,
Sure.
I was waiting on something from your guy. Your guy was waiting.
Did you have a general contractor? Or did you try and do all that?
Oh, no. We had a firm that we contracted with. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like a pretty big firm. So, but there was just a big miscommunication in the permitting process. So that took us 7 or 8 months.
Oh.
And at this point, we're, in our lease for 7 or 8 months.
Yeah.
And then construction started. So we'd signed our lease December of 2023.
Okay.
And 2024 August, we broke ground.
Okay.
And started to build.
Holy cow.
And during that time, I'm like, I have to get instructors. I have to de-risk. I'm a project manager. So I'm like, where can I de-risk the rest of this business?
Yeah.
So I'm hiring people. You can't hold auditions. You're just kind of like, hey, do you know anybody who might be good at this?
Yeah.
So I
do you know anybody
luckily
who can ride a bicycle?
Yeah. And the coolest part about this comes back to Bevin is that she's trained tons of people around the country.
Okay.
And I found this woman, Allie, she'd been trained by Bevin. And I was like, she's no longer working as an instructor. And I was like, DM'd her and was like, hi, do you want to get coffee? Then Allie knows a guy named Luke who was trained by Bevin, also lives in Denver. Yeah. And then one leads to the next. And I'm like, we have a solid group of 8.
Cool.
So it worked out great. They weren't all trained by Bevin though. So some of them were just friends of a friend of a friend. And it was so cool. And
you're
then
just piecing things together at this point.
Yeah. But now I'm like, where am I going to train them? And how am I going to get the bikes to train them? Mm. So we ended up renting the CrossFit space next door. Okay. And thank God for them. They were like, you can use our, I offered to pay them because that's again, the abundant mindset. I'm like, well, I'll rent your space because that's the right thing to do. So we rented the space and we were training during the summer because I was like, I don't know when this thing's going to go. So I at least need to get these folks trained up
to speed. Yeah.
So that was tricky because we're moving bikes now Saturday and Sunday, loading them in, loading them out, moving them to a storage unit.
Okay.
Every Saturday, every Sunday.
What a layer of love, man.
Yeah. And then, once we broke ground, it went pretty quickly from there, but I guess that's 4 months of construction.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No.
That's faster than I thought.
Than the permitting, yeah.
The permitting takes twice as long as the construction. That's insane.
Yeah, but that was largely because of a miscommunication.
Okay.
So that was a major oopsie.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, and I think if I was micromanaging more, which is my tendency, it probably wouldn't have happened, but I assumed they had it,
Yeah.
Never assume they have it as a business owner.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what they say.
Yeah.
So you got it all built out. Then what was your first event? How did you start drawing people in, marketing it?
We started actually back in July. We started to go to we would rent a table at any event.
Okay.
In the west side of Denver. So we weren't focusing on Rhino or if it was more than 15 minutes, we weren't focusing on it.
Sure.
So we would just rent a table, roll out a bike, cards, give away fun stuff. So our first one was Belmar Bash. It was 4th of July night and there was a big drone show and we were there. And actually we met a number of our members now came from that Belmar Bash in July. Okay. So they were cool. Lakewood was wait, what? There's a cycling studio coming to Lakewood? We never have anything nice. So it was Lakewood's the last frontier. Yeah, they were cool, somebody's investing in this town. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool. We would collect emails and they would go into a drawing. Sure. And that's how we got our email list built out up to 500 people throughout the summer and the fall. So we were just at every event, every farmer's market we could go to, meeting everybody.
Just riding a bike, yelling
at
people
I would be riding
by.
It and then they would. Yeah, and I'm sign up to win $100 to Lululemon. Lululemon Here's the secret. Lululemon will bring anybody in.
Okay.
If they think they can get $100 at Lululemon, they're going to give you their email.
Here's my social security number.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll give it to you right now for $100 gift
Yeah,
card.
because I'm like, if I can grow an email list for $100, I'm good, and we would get hundreds of signatures in a single day.
There you go.
So it was great.
Cool. And then you're adding value to the community, right? And people appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even if maybe they're not, your target audience, or they don't want to do indoor cycling, they know someone who does.
They would
right?
chat with us. Yeah. Like
just excited that you just brought excitement to the community.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
And we also hosted a couple of pop-up classes. So we rented a U-Haul in the middle of the night. We hauled 30 bikes over to the Eddy Hotel in Golden.
Okay.
Beautiful. If you've never been there, they have a backyard. I know it's very far from here, but they have a backyard that faces Table Mountain. Like, it's stunning mountain backdrop. Cool. And so they were like, you can host a class here. Oh. And I was like, perfect. So we hosted 2 classes. Okay. And it sold out.
You still do that kind of stuff where you go and do a class outside?
No, it broke us. The moving 30 bikes.
Yeah. Once you get a space, you're like, I can't.
I'm never moving those bikes again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have the similar things in my world as well.
Really?
Like, I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah. They're like, I'm not.
I started shooting music videos when I started off, and you're like, hassling people for like $300. Like,
really?
And they want you to film. Oh yeah, this was 15 years ago, but.
You're like a PA, like you're like.
I mean, even on just like it'd be like here in Denver, like shooting a music video for an artist here, and they want you to film for like 3 days, and and then pay you,
$300.
Yeah, but you need the experience. You need when you just bought a camera, I'm gonna take that $300 and go buy some more camera gear. Yeah, so.
It's true. Like,
it's the grind. It's the grind.
Exactly.
It's the entrepreneurial grind, getting something off the ground, figuring it out. It took me like 3 or 4 music videos to realize, like, oh, musicians don't have any money. They don't have any money.
It's true. Yeah.
And they have high expectations. So, no, thank you. I won't do a music video anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, we won't move bikes. That was too much. It takes hours.
Yep. You won't move bikes. I won't do music videos.
Good to know.
So don't ask me if you.
Bummer.
Maybe,
although filming our space is kind of like a music video.
It was, yeah. And maybe if you wanted to drum for me, I could shoot some of that.
Okay.
Cool. So you talked about your staff already and how you found them. What's the retention like for you guys? I mean, it seems like everyone was super happy. Is it pretty easy to retain trainers?
Well, we've only been open for a short while.
Okay.
So my hope is yes.
Seems like you have the culture. You have the culture to retain.
Yeah. And we are looking to grow already. Like, I think.
What's your, speaking of growing, I mean, like, what is your business model? How do people do monthly memberships? Is that can they pay for a one-time class?
Yeah, both. So there's like a drop-in class. You can do 1 5-pack, 10-pack.
Okay. Do you have like a punch card or something?
Yeah. So it's like
is it a
buy
digital
a pack.
punch card? Or
yeah.
Is it a physical one? Okay.
No, you just buy a pack, and then when you use them, they reduce down.
Okay.
And then
I want like a physical.
I know, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That's reminding me. Maybe we should do like a bingo card anyways, like something old school. Like,
okay.
And then you do a monthly unlimited.
Okay.
So like, come as much as you want. And right now we've just discounted that majorly, and it's like,
just trying to get everybody in.
Yeah.
Sure.
But on top of with the unlimited,
you have different monthly packages, so like 10-pack or
you can do 5 classes a month as well that just reoccur.
Okay.
So it's like, because we have a lot of people who are like, I just want to come once a week.
Sure.
But I want to do it
like work out somewhere else, but they really
they supplement
enjoy your classes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be the same way. I would crush a 5-pack a month, I'd be like, that's perfect for me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm doing like 9 classes a week.
I don't know why, but I feel like you should call it a 6-pack.
Oh, that's maybe too on the nose. That's funny.
Probably so.
That is funny.
A 6-pack or a case.
That's hilarious. Now I'm thinking, like, could I promo it next month? It's a 6-pack. But yeah, that's kind of the business model. So you can either just like pay. We're also on ClassPass, all kinds of other partner portals. Do you know ClassPass? You looked at me
only because when we were filming, that girl showed up like an hour early, and you're like, "What are you doing here?"
Oh, she came from ClassPass.
She was like, "I got a ClassPass." You're like,
"No,
I think you're supposed to be here tomorrow."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yep, I'm here. Yep, I'm a day early."
Poor thing. I know. Should have given her.
She come the next day though.
She did, and she loved it. She's come back.
Oh,
she bought a
fantastic.
5-pack. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, ClassPass is just like a third party.
Yeah.
And then they book through them, but they come
it's
to
the
us.
Expedia.
Exactly.
I got you. Hotels.com of cycling classes.
Studios.
Yeah.
They probably do other things, yoga, any sort of exercise studio.
Yeah, but I've heard they've moved into everything, like hair salons. Like you can like
That's
book
too much.
Yeah, like they're doing everything.
They're doing too much.
They'll come for you guys next. Like, do you want to be on a podcast? No, I don't know.
Hey, maybe.
5 credits.
Hit me up.
You'll get your
$6.
$6.
Pack. Cool. So
being where you are now, what advice would you give to young Alison who was going, maybe I could start my own cycling studio here in Lakewood?
Wow. I feel like the advice is going to change in 6 months, but
that's okay.
I would think I would tell her to not be so afraid of the details. Like I got hung up a lot on that.
Is there like one detail you remember that you like sweated over that ended up not mattering?
Actually, you know what? I thought the brand wouldn't go over well. Like I was like really putting myself out. I felt like I was putting myself out there. I chose brown. I chose the opposite of anything that you see.
Going with a not bold choice was a bold choice.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Which is I'm very dichotomous as a person. So I think that would be it. Like maybe just trust yourself more, like trust your gut.
I'm a big fan of zigging when everyone else is zagging.
Yeah.
Like just if everyone's doing this, I want to do that.
Maybe not if there's like an emergency though. Like
sure, yeah. If there's
Run
a fire
with the crowd,
in the building,
yeah.
Sure. I know I'm going towards the fire. All you losers.
That's a different podcast.
Headed towards the exit. No, but just like with your branding, like everyone else kind of does it this way, and you're like, well, that's not me, so I'm going to do it my own way. And I think it's paid off from my perspective. I feel like it has and will pay off in the long run.
I think so, and I think
it's memorable if nothing else.
That's right. Yeah, like that tan place. Everything was tan.
Very muted.
Desert.
The desert in the mountains, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just like, being able to trust yourself and go with it, and like also having a little bit of thicker skin. Everyone gives feedback. They're going to give you a lot of feedback.
Okay.
A lot of feedback.
And just
like
don't take
customers,
it
staff.
Speaking of, I was going to tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
And it's just kind of like knowing how to take the feedback, probably.
I would love feedback when we're done with your project, but I'm never going to give you feedback.
I love feedback, actually.
I think, I think going into any new situation, especially sort of like a workout class, can be intimidating.
Yeah.
So like someone who might be watching this or listening, who is interested in checking out your space but maybe intimidated, they've never done a cycling class. What would you say to them?
It's fun. It's not like we're not taking it very seriously. Like I am.
Yeah.
But we're not at the same time. Like it's like.
What do you mean by that?
Like we can't take ourselves too serious. We're riding bikes that go nowhere in a dark room with loud music. Like it's fun. Point. Like it's like let yourself try it.
Yeah. Let yourself try it.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to try something new and different.
Yeah. And like open yourself up to it. And a lot of times what we find is the first time you do it, you're like, how do I find the beat of the music? And it's like eventually that comes. And when it does, it's like a magical thing has happened in your feet, So I would say, trust yourself to know that you can do it. Like it's so much fun if you just get rid of the thought of like I can't do something, because there's really no right way to do it. And I always say that
people who are kind of introverts, maybe the group setting doesn't.
Yeah, but it's also kind of nice because it's like dark room. So you're like,
you're welcome
you could
to come
sit in
and sit in the back. Yeah.
That's what I as a rider, I sit in the back and cry. Like I'm like, I just want to sit here and like process my emotion. Yeah, like hope they play some rock, hope they play some sad songs, and sit back there and do my thing. And maybe after in the lobby I'll chat. But like,
what's a song that like what is like the perfect one song perfect fit for your style and what you like
as an instructor?
You specifically, is there one that like people could be like, I don't know, that you could point to and be like, that's what I like to ride to?
Oof.
Just any, or maybe 2 or 3. I'll
Pearl Jam, Alive.
A lot of Pearl Jam.
Is like my favorite song of all time.
Cool.
Ever. And then Incubus, early albums actually.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm not sure. I know a lot of Incubus songs. I'm not sure if I could tell you which ones are early or late, but
yeah, that's okay. that's me. And
Cool.
then like everybody's so different. We have instructors that are more EDM focused, and instructors who are doing Broadway rides and
that's fun.
musical theater.
I think someone said you'll have a Taylor Swift ride or something.
Every Tuesday, Taylor Swift Tuesday. And it's like an event now.
Dude, I bet that's fun. Yeah.
It like is almost selling out.
I'm not a Swiftie, but I know enough of her songs that it would
Yeah.
be fun to ride to.
And
For
one
45
woman
minutes.
brought everybody bracelets last week.
Oh, that's
She
cute.
made everyone
Love
bracelets
it.
and brought them. And
You're
I was
really
like,
doing something over there, Allison.
yeah, 4 weeks in, and we got bracelets.
Tell me about what you're most excited about sort of on the horizon with Ritual.
I'm most excited about people experiencing something different in Denver. I think the community showing up and being like, okay, we've just gotten so much of that feedback. Like, this is different. This is like of the earth, you know, and continuing that, like just staying true to ourselves and not panicking that a class has 6 people in it. Like, it's okay. It's going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We have to trust what we're doing and trust the process, you know? So it's like, yeah, I'm most excited about that.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you. Why don't you tell people, is there anything else that you wanted to add? And then you can tell people where they can find you.
I had a really good community story that I forgot to tell.
Let's tell it. What does that mean, a community story?
Like a real life example of like us in the community.
Oh, yeah. Give me one more.
I had forgotten about it, and I like drove here remembering, like I was like, remember to talk about that story because it brought me like sobbed the other day.
Okay.
We had a group of deaf women come in.
Oh, wow.
And that's my first time teaching a sound-based class to a group of deaf people.
Okay.
And
They can still feel the music though?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I am fortunate that I grew up in a very deaf town and I know some sign language. And I went to RIT, which is a deaf school, a deaf institute. And so I was like, okay, don't panic. We got this.
Yeah.
And they were so kind. We wrote on a paper together everything, what to expect. And then in the class, like I just made sure I gestured everything so that they could feel the energy and like understand when we were expansive and when we were contracting and all of that stuff.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And afterwards they had told me, they were like, we've gone to a ton of cycling studios and no one's like accommodated us ever. They just kind of judged us and like kind of ignored us because they didn't know what to do and they like got scared of
So
us.
they didn't have their own class. They just joined everyone
Yeah, they
else.
were hearing people and there were deaf people.
Cool.
So I would say, and the microphone's tricky because it's in front of your mouth, as you guys know.
Yeah.
So they read lips. And I was like, well, okay. So I would say for the hearing people one thing, then I would move it away and repeat it off the mic for them to see me.
And do whatever sign language you kind of knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, and they, to your point, they could keep rhythm better than hearing people, like, because they're feeling it in their body.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, this is ritual. Like, not only are we including everybody in this practice, but it's like we expect the unexpected because they were amazing at it and they had an amazing time. And they were like, afterwards made me sob because they wrote me this note and they were
That's
just
great.
like, we've never been treated like this before. So
I did have a question that I wanted to ask about just like how you approach inclusivity and accessibility in your classes. So that's a great example. Is there any other examples that you wanted to share, but give you an opportunity to talk about? I mean, that's a good one. That is a really good one.
The modality itself, though, is grounded in cycling.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess we didn't talk a lot about the industry, but like the industry has taken indoor cycling and made it like wild. Like it's like really fast out of the saddle and X's and
Oh, sure.
like crazy things. And we're like, that's like not effective for your body, for your mind, for your spirit. Like keep your hands on the handlebars.
Borderline dangerous.
Yeah, like you're going to blow your back out.
Tip your bike over.
Yeah, so we've just brought it back to the roots. And it's like, if you don't want to do this, sit down. Like if you've ever ridden a bike in the saddle, you actually know it's pretty hard. So like there's no pressure to come out of the saddle and be crazy and like do any of that. And that's like our way of being inclusive as well. It's like we teach a successful class. So it's like
just kind of meet them where they're at and allow them to do whatever they feel comfortable with.
And our training program covers that. It's like if you try to do something and you look around and they're not doing it, make a new plan. Because like forcing your plan on someone is not just because you can do it to show off. It's not about you.
Yeah.
You know?
If no one's feeling it.
Yeah. Sit them down and listen
pivot.
to good music. Yeah. Like make a new plan. And so we do this all the time. Like it's just it's like staying present as an instructor And you'll see it everywhere. Like an instructor will just like, I had a plan and I'm doing it and I'm forcing it on this group. And it's like, are you even watching what's happening here? It's chaos. So it's like, we have to just stay
Everyone's
so
got
present.
a case of the Mondays, and your Friday playlist isn't working, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of it. Sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. Why don't you tell people where they can find you? What they should do and how they should, come see you.
Our website, ritualindoorcycling.com,
Okay.
and our Instagram at ritualindoorcycling.
Okay. We'll put it all in the show notes. People can click it.
I'm like, there's probably an underscore in there.
We'll double check. Yeah.
And then, we're on ClassPass. And
there was another app you said? Was it just ClassPass?
There is a third-party corporate wellness app we're on as well. But that's
cool.
where to find us. Instagram is where we are heavily present.
Okay.
That's about it on
Morning
social.
classes, evening classes?
Oh, yeah. We have
classes
7 days a week.
Okay.
Right now, heavy mornings and evenings.
Okay.
And then we have a noon on Friday. We have 4:30 on Wednesday, and we're looking to add more based on when people want to ride. It's been tricky getting to know everyone's schedule.
Sure. And as you grow, I'm sure that'll even round
out. We don't want to You
guys are going to be cycling 24/7.
That's right. Well, not me, but someone.
Someone at Ritual. I said you guys. Yeah.
The team will be there. That's our goal, is to have, 6 classes a day would be amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This is so fun.
Yeah. You did great.
Thanks.